you are equivalent to 5 months pregnant with a tumor that's the size of a basketball.
The bombshell dropped on a Los Angeles summer morning in 1992.
And I said to her, oh, come on, I mean, isn't it basketball? I mean, that's a little over the top, aren't we exaggerating here? I mean, a basketball's this big. And she said, would you rather I call it a beach ball?
Brandon had been working in the field of alternative medicine for more than a decade. In fact, she had made it a career, sharing the stage with people like Anthony Robbins and Dr. Wayne Dyer, whom you've met on this program before. So she just couldn't accept that she would have to go the conventional route and possibly end up under a surgeon's knife.
And of course I was terrified. And I asked that I be given just a little bit of time, just a window of time, to try to give it my best shot. And she said, I'm a doctor, and I'm in the business of saving lives, and you need to get in the hospital today and get the test done and then get it surgically removed.
But she convinced the doctor to give her a month.
During my own healing process, I, of course, did all the things I knew to do to take care of my body. I went from 70% fresh and raw fruits and vegetables to 100%. And, you know, I lived by the sea and working out every day. But after 3 weeks, I still hadn't seen a change. I was looking vibrantly healthy, but I hadn't seen a change in my body.
That's when Brandon's healing journey changed course, and she began looking inwards.
And I knew that I somehow had to uncover what was actually stored inside that tumor, the emotional block.
Brandon faced her ghosts, and in doing so, developed a process that helped her to heal.
I actually uncovered the memory that was stored at a cellular level, and when I cleared that out, it seemed as if my body then went about the process of healing itself quite naturally.
The process which Brandon developed draws on a whole range of alternative theories, but it's rooted in the work of Deepak Chopra. He was a medical doctor and a respected American endocrinologist who came to believe that our body's cells store emotional memories. When those memories are traumatic, that can cause the cells to degenerate, resulting in physical illness.
What he didn't explain in his book is how do you get access to those cell memories, to the traumatic memories that are stored at a cellular level. And I didn't know that.
But Brandon found a way through meditation and prayer.
Immediately my skeptical thinking mind checked in and it said, oh, it can't be that memory. I know all about that memory. It's a memory of violence that took place in my childhood, and, you know, I've long since dealt with that issue. You know, I've done all kinds of therapy, but it was almost as if my thinking mind was saying, oh, you've handled that. But that my body and my soul were saying, no, you haven't handled that. And yet, when I prayed that I get a deeper understanding, the word that came up inside of me was forgiveness. And when I forgave inside, it was almost as if I stopped clinging to the tumor. I underwent every medical exam you can go. And at the end of that time, the surgeon came out and she took the pictures of my uterus and she took out a textbook. And she said, your textbook, perfect clean.
Brandon took the techniques she'd used to heal herself and developed a process that others could do. She calls it the journey.
I want to give workshops to people so that they can take these tools, have hands-on tools, so that they can get access to what's stored inside the body.
To do that, Brandon scripted 2 step-by-step journey processes. Both are essentially guided meditations, but one focuses on emotional healing, while the other targets physical illness. The emotional journey guides you down a road that's signposted with unresolved issues, including those that haven't manifested in disease.
Then there's one process that I do where you're literally pulling back the emotional layers.
That meditation takes you back to the time of a specific trauma and to the feelings associated with it. The journey draws on therapies like inner child healing to help you understand why those things happened and forgive the people involved. The aim of the second process is to uncover emotional issues that have manifested in physical illness. This journey relies on visualization techniques to guide you to areas inside your body that need healing. Once you're there, follow Brandon's instructions to work your way back to the emotional trauma that caused the illness.
And what this does is it gives you just very nitty-gritty tools to get access into the root core of any issue that's in place inside your body, whether it's manifested physically or not, and to clear that out so you can come into a greater place of peace.
Someone whose life was turned around by the journey process is British businessman Kevin Billett.
I'd been suffering on and off from chronic depression since my teens. So I'd gone to my GP, I'd been to see psychiatrists, and they'd put me on Prozac, so I was just left in kind of like a black hole of despair where there just didn't seem to be any alternative other than to kill myself.
A friend told Kevin about Brandon's workshops, and after a single journey process, he threw away years of therapy as well as a whole cocktail of antidepressants.
It was as if it turned on a light inside and just undid the whole process that I'd been running on myself in order to avoid feeling the hopelessness that was there.
The experience had such an impact on Kevin that he joined Brandon and her team as a volunteer. But the story doesn't end there. He and Brandon were later married. Now they teach the journey work to people all over the world. Their most recent trip was to South Africa. We met some of the people who attended the workshops. Every one of them had suffered some kind of pain. For Judith Schlebusch, that pain was not physical. She needed emotional healing.
I had thought that the emotion that I took there would be something like grief or sadness because of my personal things. And, well, the feeling that came up was devastation.
That feeling had burdened Judith ever since tragedy turned her world upside down almost a decade ago.
My husband died very tragically, and 8 years later, when we had thought that our family was healing, my youngest daughter died and left an 18-day-old baby.
Judith wasn't alone in her search for healing.
And basically I was told I had 4 to 6 months to live. And that's when my journey began.
So when Dorette Scorthen heard about Brandon's journey work, she wanted to know more. The workshop was fully booked, but Dorette took a chance and went anyway.
So I stood in the queue and I got on the course, but not only did I get on the course, but I got in the front row.
Somewhere at the back of the room was Paul Houston. The week before Brandon arrived, Paul had been in hospital with a herniated disc.
It's an old back injury. It's about 10 years old. I actually damaged it during police training. And it's been going on and off for 10 years, living on painkillers and anti-inflammatories and so on.
Paul handled Brandon's security in South Africa. A journey process wasn't on his list of things to do.
I was just happened to talk to one of the crew that was with her. And I was kind of stretching my back, and she said to me, "What's the problem?" I said, "No, I got an old back injury, it's fine." She said, "Okay, we'll speak later." And then after the main group was done, she said, "Come with me, we're going to sort out your back."
Paul, Dorette and Judith did Brandon's healing process for different reasons, but they all found themselves on a journey that would take them to emotions long since forgotten.
It was almost a hypnotic state where they put you under and you go back to the emotion at the time of the injury. And I got a couple of issues to deal with regard to the injury, childhood issues and so on.
But in the end, did you get to the emotion?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a bit of anger, but there was a lot of confusion from the age of about 6 years old. There is a fairly abusive background. There was a lot of confusion as to why that was there. What did I do? How did I deserve this? What did I do wrong at 6 years old to be treated like this?
Dealing with those emotions is central to the healing process.
And you are just dropping through feeling after feeling until eventually you find yourself either in space or you find yourself in a wonderful feeling of source.
The process is a bit like the Chinese game of Jenga. When we chip away at the defenses that we've spent lifetimes building up, we end where we began, a place without fear, prejudice, anger or confusion. It's a place Brandon calls source.
To me, source is inside. Source is, you are your source. You are your greatest enemy and your greatest help.
It's a moment of complete stillness, of almost breathlessness, that you even expect when you're very excited. And source is different for every person and it's different every time.
For me, it's always a light. It's a definite feeling of space with a strong light coming through. And then I know I'm at the source of who I am.
I was in a field all by myself. In a beautiful green field, and the wind was blowing and the grass was just flowing back and forth. And I was lying on my back looking up at the sky.
And once you get in touch with that peace inside, that stillness inside, that love that's inside, then that wisdom, not from your thinking mind, but a much more profound wisdom, is then able to turn the flashlight on inside and reveal what's actually stored inside the cells and to help you go about the process of clearing that out.
Getting to source, this place of wisdom and understanding, is central to both the emotional and physical processes. In the emotional journey, you get there by diving through layers of unresolved feelings. The physical journey, however, demands that you first get inside the organ that's made you sick.
And the next minute you're in the organ and you're thinking and breathing like the organ is, and the organ's starting to tell you what's created the problem.
And the physical journey, that's very exciting. It's playful, it's fun.
Ignition.
We suggest you hold on. It's quite a trip.
Lift off. Lift off.
You climb into a little spaceship, which is awesome. You can go anywhere in the body, through tissue, bone, anywhere. It's quite an imaginative trip. And you land up at the injury spot.
I went into my heart because there was a lot of unforgiveness. I was amazed at how I saw my heart and how you visualize your heart. It wasn't a heart, it was just shattered.
Meanwhile, Judith's voyage into inner space took her to an organ that had caused her a lot of physical pain.
I ended up going into a diseased lung with my little spaceship. And they discovered the memory of when I was very small.
When Judith was a child, doctors removed a third of her lung. But she didn't have to relive those memories alone. A mentor joins you on your meditational travels. It can be a sage, an angel, or anyone you trust.
And this mentor was like a wizard. He took out a little flask, a beautiful, pure crystal flask with a solvent, and handed it to me. And I sprinkled that in the lung, and all the infected parts became healthy.
But the meditational voyage doesn't end inside an organ.
So you land up at a campfire where you discuss and talk to the people that are involved with your issue or your pain. There's a lot of forgiveness and a lot of understanding of why they did what they did.
The fireside chat is part of both the emotional and physical meditations. There you meet the people who played a part in your pain. And having experienced Source, you can now forgive them. That is the key to healing.
Everybody's forgiving each other and saying how stupid it is to carry this burden.
And to forgive is the only way you're going to recover from that injury.
For Paul, the results were almost immediate. The next day, his back was 80% better.
And since the treatment, I've tossed out the anti-inflammatories, the painkillers. I don't use the corset.
Put it away somewhere.
I'll put it where fate can't be tempted.
Meanwhile, Judith says the process has helped her deal with her loss.
I think I have joy back in my life. I'm interested in life again.
For Dorette, the journey work has had less obvious results, but she believes it's the key to her healing.
I'm well aware of the main tumor in my body. I can feel it. But I'm more energized, and I just feel that I'm going to get through this very, very simply.
And the power to heal, says Brandon, comes from within.
The only answers that are worth knowing are the ones that you uncover inside of yourself. Everything else is a theory.
Well, good to have Ruda on the show and a lot to think about or maybe meditate about.